Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, lie about having COVID to take 6 weeks off while I do your work for free? I'll throw an all-office party to announce where you really were. Took X off my Spotify plan while she was on a road trip. I undercooked my food to get back at a food thief. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Lie about having COVID to take 6 weeks off while I do your work for free? I'll throw an all-office party to announce where you really were. Mid-pandemic, my boss disappeared. Just as we were gearing up for our most challenging, time-intensive project in the last 5 years, he dropped off the face of the earth. We kept working for a week or so without him because everything was virtual and the virtual work world was still so new. We didn't really need him. We were delegating tasks ourselves and completing things on our own. We spoke to coworkers maybe twice a week. But some decisions were beyond our discretion, so we could not move forward on those aspects of the project until we received a response from him. After about 7 to 10 total days of silence, we called his boss's boss, who informed our team that our boss had COVID so wasn't able to work right now. We took that at face value, of course, sent him letters of well wishes and didn't bother him with work stuff, or ask why he was able to notify his boss, but not us. 3 weeks go by. Still not a word. We're beginning to discuss amongst ourselves whether or not he's maybe died. We're terrified and horrified and so concerned. We're contemplating calling his extended family. We're sending flowers and care packages to his apartment. Meanwhile, the project has descended into chaos because no leader was appointed in our boss's stead, so we are forced to navigate several layers of bureaucracy in order to accomplish most anything at all, whereas in the past he would have just signed off in real time. Around week 4 or 5, one of our coworkers suggests he doesn't really have COVID but is instead using it as an excuse to take time off. We all jump all over our coworker, asking how he could insinuate something like that, and lamenting about what a tragedy our boss is probably living through. People were chilly to him for days after that. Week 7. We're undertaking a letter writing campaign to upper management demanding an acting boss be appointed while ours is recovering. The project is a month behind schedule. We're all working overtime every day, sometimes on weekends, without extra compensation, just to keep up with the cluster of the boss's sudden absence. Week 8. He finally reappears, logging into a morning meeting as though nothing happened. He looks well rested, well fed, and has a tan. Not at all like someone who's just come out the other side of a 6-week respiratory virus. He says something quickly to the effect of, "Yeah, that was brutal. Glad to be better and glad to be back. Let's get to work." But doesn't want to talk about what happened or answer any of our questions like, "Were you in the hospital? What was it like?" etc. Fast forward to about 4 or 5 months after this. My sister sends me a promo for a fairly new reality show. I'd never heard of it, but it's on a major platform, and says, "Isn't this guy a friend of yours or something? I swear I've seen him and you together." I watched the trailer for this show, and lo and behold, there's my boss, participating as a contestant on a reality TV show. It did not take long for me to put the pieces together and realize he took extended leave to go on TV, that he knew he wouldn't otherwise get during this massive project, and lied about it under the guise of a vicious disease that nearly all of us had lost a loved one to. I sit and stew with this information, unsure of how to handle it. I know confronting him won't get me very far, but I can't just do nothing, right? I'm not close enough with any of my colleagues to discuss this with them and trust that they wouldn't run off and send an all-company email about it. So I slept on it a few nights, and then the opportunity fell right in my lap. I got an email from corporate encouraging teams still working remotely to plan virtual social functions to keep a collegial culture going and to stay in touch. Among the suggestions were game night, trivia, and watch party. With the premiere of the show only a couple weeks away, I got busy telling everyone how I'd been meaning to get into this show, and it's so enticing and exciting, basically laying the groundwork to guilt them into coming to an impromptu virtual watch party off hours. I offered to get special shirts made up and send them to each person's house. Whatever I had to do to get the attention of corporate. Finally, I sent an EV to all my boss's bosses, and any other members of corporate I could justify inviting without making a total ass of myself. Because this is entirely virtual, my boss is unable to overhear any of the chatter. He doesn't realize I'm hyping up this show, and he doesn't realize I've planned a watch party for it. I wasn't inviting him unless he had the balls to explicitly ask about it. I was hoping he wouldn't have heard about it at all. Not until afterwards. That was really the only way this could work. The night comes and I am screen sharing the show to a whopping 64 people. A huge chunk of my department. Many members of corporate had showed up because I was the only person stupid enough to buy into their virtual social work party scheme, so they felt pressured to support it. I was holding my breath, hoping this would go my way, bracing myself for some kind of curveball. But there wasn't even that dramatic of a build-up. Right at the outset, they introduced the premise, which included the contestants being in a COVID-safe bubble in an exotic location, and gave a brief overview of each contestant. As my boss was introduced, right down to what he did for work, and I could see people register delight and surprise, then go blank, just before sliding into confusion and rage. The chat took a drastic turn from "oh my goodness" and "I knew him when," and all sorts of pithy jokes to a brave member of my team, or perhaps one just pushed a tad too far by all the extra hours he pulled in this douche's absence, sent the message, "Wait, when was this filmed?" My audience dropped from 64 to 58 to mid-30s, and by the time the episode was over it was just me and the other 15 core members of the team. One asked if I'd already known, but some members of the team are very close to the boss, so all I said was, "Well, I definitely do now," and wrapped up the call pretty quickly after that. Perhaps one of the best bonuses is that you could already tell from episode 1 that the character arc the show assigned to our boss was bumbling idiot. He had his true colors on in full display and some production massaging up them to the 11th degree. Boss was fired. My good buddy was promoted to his place. I am an office legend now, especially since no one is 100% sure whether or not it was intentional. And it was also satisfying that it was almost worth the dozens of hours of uncompensated overtime that led to it. This isn't petty, it's at least pro, possibly nuclear. Well done. 100% nuclear. Flawless execution. I bet the producers of said show would have a field day if they found their bumbling idiot lost his job because he was incapable of showing basic workplace decency prior to taping the show. Did he just not realize that he was going to be on TV? Took X off my Spotify plan while she was on a road trip. I know it's not extreme, but after she told me she was talking to someone while we were together, I was extremely depressed. I've been getting better and 3 weeks have passed. Then I realized I paid for another month of Spotify for our Duo account. I tried reaching out to her on Thursday since I noticed some odd things about her. She left work early due to anxiety attack, so I invited her to hang at the beach to watch the sunset. She replied to me, "It's been 3 weeks. Congratulations on respecting your first boundary with me. I'm on my way out of town maybe next time," so I knew she was going to be driving for a while. Since we work together, I saw she had to work tomorrow, so that means that she has quite some time on the road today, Saturday. I decided I'm going to take her off my plan and it'll stop all the premium stuff that's included with it. I hope she enjoys the ads. Edit, a little context and the only edit I'll make. We were absolutely toxic. Drunken adventures lead to arguments. Then after those arguments happened, her car was vandalized. Tire popped after one argument. Then when I was hanging out on this cliff, which is about 30 minutes from her place, her window was smashed. I'm not perfect, but I would never do something like that due to my car being vandalized and stolen 3x. I've been abused by my mother since I can remember. I just recently cut her out of my life. This affected me, my aunt passed away and I have to decide soon if I need to put my dog down. I've been cheated on before and it affected how I trust people. Everything started happening and I became very depressed. I stopped eating and had suicidal thoughts. I even hung out on the edge of a cliff just staring down looking at the rocks. I literally thought I was alone until one day a friend reached out to me and it changed the course of things. I felt good about myself and our breakup. I was able to see it in a new light. Not only with my relationship issues but also at home. I have been on a better path however since I noticed her mood change. Monday we had a good exchange and I even shared a pineapple with her, then the next day happened when she left early. I asked if she was okay and she said no but thanks for checking with me. We left it at that. Thursday came when I asked if she wanted to see the sunset because I was ready to move on from this. This idea came from the kindness I received and even though she did bad things, I was accepting of it. No one is perfect. The whole point is that no matter who it is I will always try to help someone with any issue that was dwelling in their thoughts. I started practicing this because no one noticed my cries for help until I talked to my massage therapist friend about everything. In the past, they lost their husband to suicide and decided to tell my close friend because she was worried about me. Even how things ended, we were good friends at some point. I don't want to hate her. I can't hate her. I care about my friends and I know since she doesn't have much I can't even imagine the loneliness. From my knowledge this person she talked to was only talk and I never said she cheated even if it falls under that. I just wanted to act out of kindness like I do with everyone. However, Saturday came and I was charged for Spotify Duo. Then I realized about Spotify. I knew she was coming back from her mother's, that made me realize she would be using Spotify since it was something we did on the road. Me becoming independent, I decided I would take her off my plan. Knowing she would be driving back to her place from wherever she went. Assuming from her mother's, which is a 6-hour drive. How Duo account works for those who don't understand, it notifies the person and it discontinues their subscription right away. It is 2 separate profiles under the same plan. It was petty of me but I did enjoy this because she absolutely treated me horribly for months. But I also want to cut anything that involves freebies. I don't want to spend another dime any longer, especially since I paid for everything we did. I watched that sunset alone and it was fleeting. I'm happier now and I know my petty revenge was a step back to my growth, however it was nice to start moving on because I can't continue the path where my health is affected. I've grown tired of typing but I enjoyed my laugh and now I'm going to enjoy my time. If you're struggling with depression, reach out to someone. Sometimes speaking to people close to you helps. Take care. My ex was using my Netflix account, and at one point I noticed that she was watching a series. As she got closer to the end of the series, I changed my password with probably 2 episodes left. I laughed about it for at least a week. I did this when they were halfway through the last episode of a series. It was very satisfying. I feel like the word boundary is being misused an awful lot lately. Let's clarify the difference. In simple terms, rules are for others, boundaries are for yourself. Rules are restrictions you put on another person. Boundaries are restrictions you place for yourself to keep yourself from harm. Yeah, the boundary thing makes no sense at all. It's not explained. Like, did she set this 3-week no contact boundary? Probably not, she's probably just using the concept incorrectly. A few years ago, I went away for a couple months to an academy across the country. A week into it, my GF at the time dumped me over text. I was bummed, but it is what it is. A few days later, I see she's still watching Desperate Housewives on my account. So I signed out of all devices and changed the password. A little while later, I get a text from her saying I was in the middle of the season finale when it logged me out, didn't realize I was on your account. Which was a great way to end it. Congratulations! You win ads while you're driving. Mwahahaha. I despise advertisements. Nice one, OP. I undercooked my food to get back at a food thief. I started working at my new workplace 6 months ago. Most of those here have been here for years. I'm one of 2 people that have been here less than 2 years. There is an office food thief that will steal people's food and even throw away their Tupperware. She's been here 10 plus years, and people have just adopted the mentality of it is what it is, we can't do anything about it. She only takes one person's food a day. They know exactly who the food thief is and just suffer through it. They even call her the food goblin. She took my food the last/first time I put it in the fridge, resulting in me just not having food till 9 p.m. I've kept my food at my desk since, and stopped eating food that needs to be refrigerated, till I had an idea. I have cooked some food, made it look appetizing, but didn't make it even slightly edible. I left a typed up note on the food stating it wasn't fully cooked, but didn't leave my name on it. She ate the food, and almost died, and had to spend 8 days in the hospital. The company can't figure out whose food it was, and now she's afraid to come to work, and thinks somebody wants to end her. It's been a couple of weeks since she returned, and she thinks everybody is out to get her and won't go near the kitchen, even brought her own mini fridge for her desk area a few days ago. Edit 1, it was my homemade chili, which has chicken and beef in it. I've had some people tell me that sounds gross, but everybody that has said that changed their mind after trying it. I basically made a full pot, got the idea before it was even close to properly cooked, scooped some into a Tupperware, then typed up/printed the note at home in a Tupperware that wasn't a part of my typical Tupperware set. Edit 2.5, quick note, if the food had been taken out of the container and cooked in a kettle for about 30-ish minutes, till boiling really, it would have been safe to eat. But I usually slow cook my chili for half a day. If she hadn't have stolen it, I would have likely used a workplace kettle and cooked it through fully to eat myself. Edit 2.75, by kettle, I meant pot. Apparently I've been calling a pot a kettle for over 25 years. Edit 3, this woman, mid-40s, is a favorite of the C-suite, that is why she never gets reprimanded or punished for stealing food for over a decade. She hosts dinners and such at her home for the C-suite. CEO/CFO/etc. Someone should take the food out of her mini fridge and eat it. A different person each day. Make a rotation. Everyone gets to take as many meals from her on the rotation that she took from them. Or just throw it away. I would never eat someone else's food. You never know. Somebody wants to end her? She wouldn't have that problem if she weren't a food thief. LOL, yeah. She's an overly dramatic, food-stealing, gossipy snitch. She checks every box for the person to hate in this office. Sounds like she lost her appetite for stolen goodies. People who steal other people's food deserve what they get. It's not just the privileged attitude that I can eat someone else's food, but also the lack of concern about leaving someone else with nothing to eat and no remorse for the cost of the food that they avoided by theft. You put food in the fridge that you knew needed to be properly cooked. You even put a note on it to remind yourself that it didn't just need reheating, it needed to be cooked. Nothing to see here. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.